Did you know that some white people are liberals and some black people are not liberals? Many such cases. Well, that's Alec Gunter right there. Covered by the T. Because he's got his points down to a T.
Giving them money hurt them, right? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yes, giving them, because if your father's out of the home, that's when we give you the money. If you're living in this
so
housing,
then give them the money while the dad's
rent-free,
well, then give them the money while the dad's in the home.
If you're working this amount of hours and getting blessed in this amount of dollars, you're getting money.
You're throwing the baby.
Yes, it is
You're throwing the
incentivizing.
baby out with the bathwater.
I don't even know what that means in this scenario.
Who is that? Wait, hold on one second. Who is this Chandler person? Does this person have like this person has like a video or something, like a channel or something, right? They have media training. He's been on Fox News. Oh yeah, there it is. The ability and willingness to talk through another person talking to you is usually a pretty good sign of media training. The ability to like keep talking through it.
You want to talk about throwing babies out with the bathwater? Margaret
for
Sanger wanted to exterminate the black race because she thought they were weeds. So yeah, we can literally talk about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. That's what Margaret.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. 100%. This guy's an empty talking head. He's literally just reciting talking points right now. There's nothing to do with what they were talking about.
Sangers, that's what Democrat policies wanted to do to my people. So that's why I feel so strongly about it, because it is these policies that date back centuries that were built off of the death and poverty of my people.
Let's take a breath.
So I'm breathing.
Okay.
So a lot of babies aren't, but I am, sadly.
I don't know.
See, he wants to talk about abortion now. This is a big black conservative thing where they talk as though legal abortion is anti-black because a disproportionate number of black babies are aborted. That's also psychotic. Like, that's completely insane. That makes no sense at all, but they argue it.
Giving money to black people does not hurt them.
And that has not happened, though. That has not happened.
What do you mean?
That has not happened.
No,
it hasn't been a reparation. It hasn't been this or that. It has been a welfare program, Great Societies Act that was built off of the idea of, hey, we get these families split up, we get these people.
So I'm thinking right off the bat, this person, Chandler, so this person is an empty talking head. They will just say anything. They have like an NPC dialogue tree that they run through with very little concern for how it relates to what's being said. And he'll talk over a person relentlessly, like no matter what. Like even if he just talked for like 2 minutes uninterrupted, he'll just continue to talk over you. In that environment, like in that context, what is the best way to handle him? And I think in the early stages of the conversation, I feel like I wouldn't want to. I feel like it would be better to not engage yet. You have to wait, I think, for a hook, because otherwise you feed into presumptuousness a bit, I think.
Let them keep the family together and keep all the money.
I mean, I guess so.
I don't even know what's being talked about right now, to be honest.
I guarantee you,
I guess so. No way Why would you not advocate for that?
So Alec Gunter is fucking yoked. Holy shit. You know, he's really still. Look how thick these arms are. Oh my god.
So, if affirmative action accomplished its purpose, why do we still see the disparities that we do in the professional workplace? If you average white wealth and compare it to black wealth totals, white people as a whole have about 50 times greater wealth than black people as a whole per capita. So I just don't understand why you think affirmative action has accomplished its purpose. I don't see
curious.
that.
Why do you assume that just because there is a disparity means it's because of a racial issue?
No, well, wait, hold on. The disparity is racial. That's empirically the case. What do you mean? He's referencing a racial disparity. How could you? Don't you think it's a bit presumptuous of you to assume this racial disparity is racial? What the fuck do you mean? Good opener by Alec there. Good question to ask.
What else would it be from?
I mean,
it's a racial disparity.
Desire to go, desire to...
I mean, zip code does play a lot. If you grow up in a neighborhood that experiences a lot of trauma, you're not as likely to do as well in school, which means you're...
Why did they grow up in a neighborhood that experiences a lot of trauma?
I mean, lots of people do.
Yes, but why specifically do more black people?
Government assistance programs.
Yeah, that's true, dude. That's true. Why? Did you know the Confederate States of America actually formed in opposition to the affirmative action and welfare programs the United States government was putting through? Lincoln was trying to push forward with all of these like Pell Grants, and the Confederate States in Lee were like, nah, we're not doing that, not here.
Government assistance programs, like what?
Try redlining.
I mean, you can go into that if you'd like to, but let's take a look at the great...
Redlining wasn't government assistance programs. It was just legal for banks to do that. Those weren't assistance programs. Those were the opposite of assistance programs.
Okay, so now we have to have one black, one Hispanic, one this, one that.
That's not how that works.
But hey, talk to the corporations, talk to the people who hire.
That's not how that works. I don't care. Moving on.
And I don't think that affirmative action was perfect by any measure, but we still see really, really bad inequality. So if you're going to get rid of affirmative action, what's the replacement?
Meritocracy.
There's no meritocracy in
Yes,
this
there
country. You look at Elon Musk, he's destroying Twitter. There's no meritocracy. That's ridiculous.
Well, first thing
You have to be careful with statements like that, because if you give them a hook, they'll take it, you know? Even though you're completely correct. I think, what's the best solution here? What's the best hit? You know, the myth of meritocracy is usually used as a way of papering over existing inequality. And I wonder, there are a lot of ways to approach this rhetorically. Obviously, we do not live in a meritocracy, but how do you sell that quickly and in a snappy fashion? I think a good question would be this, okay? If we live in a meritocracy and there are still unequal outcomes between black and white people, what would it take to make you believe that it's not a problem with black people? It's not them making the wrong choices, but is rather something systemic in their way. If we still have unequal outcomes, what would lead you to believe the meritocracy isn't there? No, even that, because they wouldn't answer. They would just pivot off. The one in the white hoodie would just jibber jabber on. I don't know.
The people who are least likely to have good outcomes in an academic setting are those who have to work 2 jobs, are those who have to drive there from home because they can't afford a dorm, are those who have to go into crippling financial debt. These are and have other stresses in their life. They can't afford a doctor, they can't afford a dentist, they can't afford anything.
I had to do
so
that too, though.
Those are the
That's
people.
not just black people. It's not just.
But it's
If we're looking at
overwhelmingly.
straight numbers, there are more white people in poverty than black people.
If you look at the raw numbers, but if you actually.
Literally, again, this person has no mind. Using raw numbers rather than per capita when talking about black versus white, like rather than percentages, a psychotic thing to say. Just bad faith, just absolute nothing person. Garbage human. The black guy in burgundy is a PragerU pundit, by the way. They always do this. They never let it be said that that Jubilee is like a neutral org, because they do this all the time. They will have, on the conservative side of every single panel, they will have a team of like elite media-trained grifters. And then on the left-leaning side, it varies. Obviously, like Gunter's a streamer, Alec Gunter's a streamer, Destiny, obviously rhetorically proficient. But like it consistently, when I watch these, sometimes I'll see on the left-leaning side, I'll be like, who is this person? And it's literally like a Omega lol who. Like, who the fuck are you? And then on the right-leaning side, we have like PragerU's strongest fucking kill team. We have like an elite fucking SEAL Team 6 of conservative losers who are here with 60 trillion memorized talking points. You know, they do this shit all the time.
Trump supports Black lives.
Alec, I'm here. I'm here for it, man. What do you have cooking?
I've heard him say he knows all the best black people. He has all the best black friends. I do support black people all the time. Sorry, that was a very bad impression, but I don't think Donald Trump wants bad things to happen to black people. So in that respect, I think he does support Black lives. But the other side of that is he's not really doing anything. He didn't do anything as president, certainly, to uplift black people.
the economy affects black people.
Yeah, I certainly disagree with that point. One of the biggest things I
What does he do for the
supported
economy?
personally. Well, yeah, we'll get into that one later. One of the biggest things he did is he secured.
I have a curated set of talking points that I'm ready to deliver on that subject, but I'm programmed to deliver it later.
Permanent funding for HBCUs, one of the largest increases we ever saw for HBCUs. Personally,
By the way, here's a good argument to throw at these conservative black grifter types, okay? Why the fuck do black conservatives defend historically black colleges and universities? That's what HBCU means. Like, they're all anti-affirmative action, but HBCUs are loaded with systems that, like, prioritize the legacy of their black student population. Like, so, like, why do they pretend to like HBCUs? Because Trump did something to benefit them? Like, why are they defending that, you know?
Prosecutor of the 5, he was a black guy. And so in being a black guy, he went and he looked at all the evidence and said, these guys are guilty.
Black people can also be racist against other black people.
Or just make mistakes.
so if anybody does anything you disagree with in regards to the Central Park 5, even if they themselves are a black person, they're just a self-loathing black person, they're just a racist black person.
If they disagree
that
with me, they're
prosecutor was
racist.
doing his job.
The Central Park 5 were exonerated. The idea that there was... the Hitler particles that were on display with the Central Park 5 discourse, it's a whole fucking thing.
Illegal immigration continued even after Reagan already said we will give these people amnesty.
Hopefully the devil's giving him amnesty.
True.
That's terrible.
No, that's base. Thank you.
Tasteless.
Tasteless, making fun of Reagan being in hell. Civility politics bullshit.
Ninth circle, baby.
My political beliefs have changed from the past.
I grew up in a conservative household, actually, in Ohio. And my parents were always pretty political, so I always stayed political. I was very religious as a teenager. Sometime during college and then afterwards, especially during COVID, my sister actually indoctrinated me into a more leftist position. And I overcorrected a little bit. I started becoming pretty cringy as far as like, sit down and let the minorities all talk, right? Don't say anything, don't speak over them, etc. They would, it was like the whole you can't speak over Candace Owens even if she's literally a Nazi kind of thing. So
how dare you say that she defended Hitler in a completely non-Nazi context?
I stand by that. So yeah, I kind of leveled out, thankfully, and I'm less cringe now.
Did you? Are you?
I cringed.
Yeah. This is leveled out. Imagine if we would have been here a year ago.
I mean, maybe I am being cringe. Who cares?
No, Alec, that's a common mistake. Don't own that. You say if you want to talk about Candace, we can later or whatever. Don't own that ever. Because that's always like a rhetorical that they'll agree with. They're so civility-pilled. Conservatives are the most disingenuously civility-pilled people in the universe, okay? Liberals are actually civility-pilled. They'll do that civility bullshit all around the place. But conservatives will literally like screech about how Donald Trump should have succeeded in overthrowing the election and talk about how like everyone who's against them is like a pedophile demon or whatever. And then if you like they'll be like, come on, man, Reagan, you're gonna talk bad about Reagan? That's incredibly distasteful. You're going to talk about how Nancy the throat goat Reagan allegedly sucked off 782 separate members of the Secret Service in one single day, a revolving door that she established in the room next to the Oval Office while Reagan passed out on the desk. You're really going to suggest that? You're really Nancy throat goat Hoover Reagan. I'm sorry. Okay.
I did more research about the Democrat Party, and sure, you guys are going to pop off about the head saying, "Oh, there's a party switch in the Southern strategy."
Such an empty piece of shit, man. Literally the same like talking points.
All these things,
which is true.
Which you may say is true. I don't believe it is true at all.
No,
I understand. You may think I'm wrong.
You are.
However, one of the biggest questions I had was.
You don't really care about homeless veterans, right?
That's just
you
a
don't support.
idea.
You don't know
I
me.
feel like all your arguments are ad hominem.
But you're
literally.
I do think that Alec could benefit from toning the aggression down. He's been pretty aggressive during this, and I don't think that's generally a bad thing. But you don't want to be aggressive in a presumptuous. First of all, that's not an ad hom. Second of all, you don't want to be aggressive in a presumptuous way, because the easiest way for anyone to respond to a presumptuous bit of aggression is to go, that's not me, you're wrong, actually. And even if you're right, they won't own up to it, right? So you want to say, like, if you say, like, oh, well, if only Republicans in general were even remotely good on homeless issues, just anything to that effect. But you don't want to give people the opportunity to go off on that.
White liberals have a savior complex.
I agree with that.
Well, I gotta say, this is a shock. I never expected all four of you to just come forward and admit it, but you know what? I'm happy with these results.
I have no shame about it. I have a savior complex as an older brother, and I will save you whether you like it or not. So
yeah, you have to be careful with stuff like this too. It's like a tone matching thing. The facetious tone can work if there's a kind of rapport, or if you've demonstrated like a back and forth that you can play off of. You have to be able to make them laugh, or at least you have to make it look like they have to force themselves not to laugh. But you have to be careful with that.
That's just me.
Well, it's definitely not, because a lot of us are really just...
Apparently he meant it as a joke? Yeah, of course. Obviously he meant it as a joke. But you're dealing with an opposition here, right? Because now they, who we know operate in bad faith, at least these two do. I think the mom's just dumb. I don't think she's like some crazy conservative grift or whatever. These two are literally like paid talking heads. So they are going to maliciously misinterpret jokes and flippancy against you unless you align it really, really well.
So if you take pride in having like a white savior complex, what is it that you think that you're doing to save black people, and what is it that you think that you're saving?
Literally, see, dude, oh my God, he's so fucking disingenuous. It's like, well, now that you've admitted that you have a white savior complex, you admitted that in seriousness to me, you definitely believe that. Now that we've established that you believe that, can you explain to me exactly what you think I personally need saving from? Yeah, fucking demons.
You want to be a savior and you
Oh my God, dude. Fuck. I feel like this has happened to me before too. If you make a joke and then like all the fucking troglodytes that you're talking to deliberately decide, I don't think it's deliberate with her, I just think she's dumb, deliberate with these two, decide they're going to pretend that it's like real.
When you put yourself as the white savior, what you do is you elevate yourself above the black person because you feel then like you have to save us. So just stop it. Just treat everybody regular and normal, just like I would treat you regular and normal. You treat us regular and normal rather than
the white savior joke like single-handedly catapulted this entire discussion in a different direction. Alec reaching into the time stream and yoinking it and just redirecting the flow.
trying to save us.
I just got one thing I wanted to bring up earlier about taxes, because you were saying that you had your job and you were talking about how like you get the tax every time and you're like seeing your tax go up. I worked in nursing homes in 2020 COVID. The last thing that was on my mind when I watched 60 and 70-year-olds on their deathbeds suffocating to death was taxes. I was worried about healthcare. I didn't give a shit about taxes in that time. So when I go to work every day, that's what I see. That's what I want to fix.
I see you once again elevating yourself above the rest of us.
What? Elevating so there's like a 70-year-old on a respirator. They're lying down. You're physically above them. What do you mean? What does that mean?
And particularly at me, a white man.
Yeah, you're short. What do you mean?
Elevating himself above a black person.
He called me a bootlicker.
That's what
He called me a bootlicker.
Oh no, I triggered them all. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm chilling, buddy.
So what I hope comes out
I'm
of this
chilling.
conversation is that we're all Americans.
I do respect Alex's willingness to be forthcoming and direct, because that engagement is a necessary component of being an effective advocate for an idea. You know, you need to have a sort of optical mind tempering an aggressive spirit. Yeah, those are my feelings here. Obviously, you know, the conservative side of things was just brain dead blithering. I think it's worth noting, and it's worth remembering that when you see the conservatives, usually media trained conservatives who go on Jubilee, they almost always do this thing where they are very polite but very easily offended. They're very willing to misconstrue what you've said in order to give them pretext for this, like, you know, a speech on how they don't think what you said is right. They're very easy to rile up, but only riled up in like a wounded way, like you've offended them with your behavior. They weaponize civility politics very, very, very effectively.